All right. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We're excited to talk to you a little bit about internet radio, radio in general, and its importance in our music community. So, we're going to start it off by giving everybody a chance to introduce themselves. My name is Tarik Omar. I'm going to be moderating this discussion. So, let's start off with Salah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
So my name's Salah Sadeq. I'm from Bahrain. I've been half my life in the Middle East and sporadically in North America and Europe quite often. From a very young age, around 14, I've always been working in the creative and music industry. So music was a passion I could never let go. That over time, just loving playing records evolved into, of course, a radio show and a few other shows that I put on, plus a record label and my productions, etc.
Cool, thanks.
Mohammed Abood, aka DJ Mo City. I fell in love with radio in the UAE again and started a radio show called Mo Telecast. And then later on, that's pushed me to start a radio station when I moved back to India. And yeah, here to have a chat with everybody and share some knowledge.
Nice to meet you all. My name is Remon. Originally from Amsterdam with Egyptian Lebanese parents. Grew up over there in Amsterdam. And yeah, I just want to share my part in the radio community. Started at Red Light Radio in Amsterdam. And yeah, recently started Arabic by Night Radio, which started as a DJ collective, but my other half, my little brother, still in Amsterdam. So I thought I have to do something with this. So I started Arabic by Night Radio. So happy to talk with you about that.
Hello, my name is Bu Fari. I work at MiZa Radio. I come from Kuwait. And yeah, it's been a year with MiZa Radio, and that's what I'm going to talk about. And recently I got a Grammy nomination for sound engineering with Boom Diwan.
Hey.
And so on to other things.
Right on. So there's a lot of challenges that come with radio. And I kind of wanted to start off with community versus algorithm. How do you balance community input with your own curatorial voice? Does anyone want to volunteer for that one first?
Curation for us was always about like human element. That's why we started the radio. It's human over algorithm. We actually don't take like submissions. We program the entire 24/7 when I was broadcasting. At that point in time, people were stuck in the internet. There was repetitive sounds being played in India when I moved back. And we thought, how do we open this up for people like myself? When I started the radio show, I was able to play music that I was not able to play in my DJ sets. And that opened the conversation with people outside of the nightlife scene. Music sometimes is consumed at night in a club or a party, but that's not the only kind of music that I wanted to share with the world. So the radio show helped me to reach a much wider audience. And through that, we were able to curate types of radio shows that were missing. And that later on allowed for a jazz movement to happen, a funk movement, a vinyl revival. So for us, 100% human over algorithm, unless you're DJ Algorithm, who's a great reggae selector. But for now, I would say 100% human curation.
Cool, cool.
Similarly, but I like to word it differently. If you recall, radio stations were marketing tools. It was all about what they pushed on the consumers. So when I put the concept together, because the longer story I'll get to later, the Crate Radio started as a social experiment in my house. Eventually, when I was told that no, we like what you do, please keep it going, I kept it going as a periodic stream, which became even weekly. And I call it the anti-radio radio show, because I actually play no big artists or labels. Around 70 to 80% of the music is stuff I get on promos or find by networking. And I'm part of a few pools where people submit tracks because they don't know who to send them to. But of course, I am the filter of how authentic or unique or creative it is, or fresh, let's call it that. But my number one rule is nothing mainstream, nothing generic. There's no genre limitations to the Crate Radio, but it's all about being very fresh and unique and interesting in whatever format it comes. So, for us as well, it's zero algorithm. We're not looking for the big tags or the big names or big submissions or whatever.
So, Remon, can you tell us a little bit about how you curate?
Yeah. Well, I think we just have to go one step back. Like, why radio is important, or alternative radio is important. And if I just share a few minutes on my own story, how
Please
it started is basically I used to play professional football, which is a very ego scene, a lot of hip hop, and I have a lot of creative friends, and one of them was playing on Red Light Radio, and I was 16, 17. I was invited, come along, and I didn't know what it was. So Red Light Radio was on the red light district. It was an old prostitute box. And I was already impressed by the whole setup.
Next to a church, too.
Yeah, you've seen it. Bless it. And I entered the place, and there was someone before my friend playing jazz music. And the owners of Red Light Radio came downstairs and said, "Oh, amazing set." And I'd never heard jazz in that way. And I was impressed. I was like, "Oh, okay, that's nice," apparently, because I didn't know. Then my friend played. I knew he was playing house, which is more accessible for me. And after that, a whole group of metallic and punk band came in to play. And I was so impressed by the whole setup. They came in. I've never met these people. And I was just sitting there listening to their music while I was just pure hip-hop. For me, it was just only hip-hop. And other people came there and said, "Oh, amazing music." I'm like, they find this amazing music. I didn't know. And for me, that whole radio journey started with an example like this, where me, unknown in this alternative music scene, and this was so easy to listen, because you just sit, you either press on the live stream button, and that's how bridges are built, in my view. So yeah, that's how I find why online radio is so important, because it's so accessible, easy to listen. You see people playing which you've never heard before. And that is also the journey which I'm starting here in the UAE, trying to mix the dancehall reggaeton with the techno. And that's the way I want to curate as well, that people who play techno and the set after will be someone completely different. And I want them to sit and listen. And that's what a lot of DJs or artists are doing, because they're interested in what other people are doing.
Yeah, thank you. Please.
So MiZa is submission based, and so people submit and they don't let you go, right? So they write to me a lot, and they go into my personal space and my Instagram, and they're like, "I need to be on this show." MiZa is a little bit different because it's a company and I manage it. So I don't like you guys. I don't own the radio. I don't hold the radio. I kind of have to let them when they submit.
Sorry, I just want to interject there.
Sure.
I mean, I get where you're going, but we were talking more about the playlist rather than the people
person
performing.
Oh, okay. So I guess I'm going to talk more about the performer. So people were submitting stuff. And I'm not really supposed to reject anybody from MiZa Radio. But what I do is I kind of make it a little bit difficult for them to get on by saying, "Do you have some original stuff? Do you have some remixes?" Because as a kind of like a corporate it's a bit of a corporate radio thing. There is an element where I do have to let them. And so I don't really, it's not about curatorial, it's more like I have to tell them to please bring more of your original stuff, and I kind of incentivize them a bit. But at the end, if they want to do a really, a set that I disagree with, I kind of have to let them do it. So it's not really algorithm, it's not really, it's kind of like curatorial, but more like mentor hinting,
Yeah.
I guess.
But I mean, that has its place, though. I mean, I think it's important that people are given opportunities at some level. Sometimes you learn by doing, and having a platform where people can learn to do is really important in any community.
Absolutely. Now, I did seek out people. So I went after some people to see, like, hey, it's submission-based. Submit, please, dude, to give variety. So, like, you get some, like, really left and right field, but it wasn't like I could technically reject anybody or pay for people. So I think I sought out Mo, and I was like, yo, like, I tried to get the people that I felt were people that I liked for me personally to kind of be at that radio. But still, there was people that were like, you know, I want to come and DJ without my shirt and be muscular. I'm like, no, man, chill. Like, this is still cool. I gotta, like, you know what I mean? So it's weird like that.
Yeah. it makes
Just
it-
to go back, in India, when we receive submissions, it's like 100,000 mixes per week. So we had to, like, just have a policy of not accepting submissions, and rejection is part of at least my success story in radio. So rejection allows you to recheck yourself and see what happened, what went wrong, and how can I overcome this situation. Rejection is part of the story, you know. So whether it's Giles Peterson, Selection, BBC, initially they said no, but then later on they invited us to do takeovers, showcases. So yeah, nothing against accepting, but it's important to let people question themselves before you give them a platform. A lot of people are not in it for the long run, and over the last like 12 years of curating mixes, radio shows, a lot of these people don't even exist anymore. So to see people take this opportunity of a radio platform and do something bigger, it's important to, like, check people.
Yeah, without a doubt.
If I can add, because I think curation is just, it's so important. It's so important. And it also shows the direction you want to go as a radio station as well. Books Out is established, so they get a lot of mixes. Arabic by Night Radio just started, so I have to share my vision and basically show people this is the direction I want to go with the radio. And now I'm receiving mixes, and I have to reject them as well because they don't fit what I want to achieve. And that's also the reason I'm starting monthly right now, because I just want to organically grow and take people on the same vision for the radio. Because if they don't have the same vision, then your radio is, it's not the way I want to establish my station. And then hopefully with the vision I have for 5 years to 10 years, it will be weekly, daily, and that's the whole intent of it. But I just want to make sure it's organically growing with the right people, and then people will follow. It's the same as how the UAE is growing with their vision. The people are coming because their vision is so strong, and that's what also I want to share with my radio.
I just wanted to, I like what Tarik said about giving people a chance, because you never know. Sometimes people themselves don't know their A side might not be their best creative musician, but they have an alter ego which is ridiculously good. For me, it's quite kind of different because we're more of a show, syndicated, but we are weekly. We're very open to guests as much as we are for people to send music as raw as it is. Funny enough, sometimes I do end up getting in situations because we have a very strict kind of strict concept where it's supposed to be very eclectic and something that tells a story about who you are. So I've had photographers, chefs, people who are not necessarily musicians or DJs who've been on the show, because it's about sharing your collection. You know, the whole concept is people come over to your house, you're going to show off your collection, or you want to really express yourself. What are you pulling out of that shelf? You know, it's so definitely not club mixes, etc. So sometimes I meet people who are really passionate about getting involved, and it takes a while. Like I was like, did you read the email? And I realized they didn't. And I've spent a long time putting that email together for people to get what's needed. But I've been in a couple of nice situations where I've actually ended up coaching the people to find their deeper side to music. And they've ended up going, oh my God, I owe you so much, and blah, blah. It's not what I want, but it's very nice to have that new relationship with them. You know, and that's why I liked what Tarik said about, you know, sometimes it's about, I'm sure with you it's a challenge of approach. I've had that too. Some people come across in the worst way, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me a lot of like the concept of like an open mic night. You know, you need to give people a chance to bomb, like to really just be terrible, but also to be awesome, because you need to learn how to do both. So I'd like to sort of shift on from curatorial. Let's move into the live versus only like streamed or broadcasted experience. I know that all of you have been involved with like live events around your radio interactions with people. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, what is the synergy of like live pop-ups versus like online broadcasts for you? Like, how do they work together? How do they not work together? Is there dissonance, synergy?
For me, I would say radio, like how I imagine it, is it being live. So you don't really know what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. And that on its own is a feeling that you cannot really explain. Events is a way to introduce people to the radio who refuse to go to the website and listen to the radio. So then we package the idea differently by a pop-up at a cafe or at a restaurant or at a festival, hoping that people go home and download the app, listen to the radio, and connect with the talk show. Because for radio, 100% is like a voice, someone speaking through a speaker. You don't know where they are, how they look like, but you're connecting to the music, to their tone, to their attitude. So live, essential. Pop-ups help bring people similar to now. Maybe some people know us, some people might not. When they go home, they'll go look into it. So definitely pop-ups helps promote the idea and collaboration through pop-ups. We used to do like pop-ups at Amongst Few. We used to do pop-ups in magazine stores, like Infusion magazine used to do a radio pop-up from their head office. And then you meet people during that pop-up, and then you connect with like-minded people. Someone says, I want to design the cover for the next magazine, or do a photo shoot for your artist. And that conversation is very impactful when it happens live in person at these pop-ups. So yeah, that's kind of how I see it.
Right on. Anyone else?
Yeah, so for me, we're not there yet if it comes to pop-ups. I think that's part of the longer plan. For me, I mean, when you talk about live, it's the way how people consume music nowadays, and the way we're shifting from night evenings or nightclub evenings to consuming, if they still want to see or people performing live, like online radio. Is one of them. It's mostly daytime, except for the bigger ones who go 24/7. But it's the way how people consume music nowadays. I think with radio, you still see people playing, either through your screen. There are some radio stations where you can actually visit. We are doing it actually in Lulu and the Beanstalk, so you can actually visit, see them. The DJs playing, it's all for free, and that's how connections are being made, and that's how I like to see it. Where what I said before, bridges are being built between different genres, different people, different music heads, club owners, producers. Example is that Tarik showed up at the second edition of Arabic by Night Radio. Didn't know him before, because he just want to see what's all about, which DJs are playing, and that is the power of being live.
That's a nice way to spend a Saturday morning, to be honest.
I like to look at it in a different way as well, because personally, as a DJ first, as much as I love sharing music, I hate playing in a studio where there's a sound engineer just staring at you. I obviously prefer the live format, offices, is it a container?
Yeah, it's
A container, and any other, and I've been to some of the pop-ups he mentioned, and whether it was Mall of Emirates in the coffee shop or whatever, it's always fun, and I like that. And I've done more of those in other countries, and I'll never say no. It's not about the money. It's just about being able to connect and whatever. But I think there's also an interesting topic there, because we've been doing this for a long time, right? But whether you put a mix up for yourself on Mixcloud or SoundCloud or whatever radio show. I mean, we worked with Aramco closely for 2 years, Aramco 2, and the issue is always followers and listeners and stats. And there's a big gray area lately because the data seems to be very inaccurate. And obviously, unless you're paying on algorithm, I'm sure everybody's seeing a drop on online channels. And sometimes it feels like when you actually do video and a live, you get more attraction versus uploading the traditional stream or recorded or whatever. So for me, that is still, I don't think I have a direction yet, but right now, I was actually thinking about it yesterday with the team that maybe we want to do more live rather than just, audio or just uploading a guest mix or whatever. At least the social experiment aspect comes back, and for me the content is richer then, because then I can even maybe do a chat with the person before they start playing, etc., etc.
So with MiZa, I do a little fun trick, is that I interview the DJs a few days before in their social media, and I see, okay, so they perform a lot, and then I go, okay, when you come on the show, I need you to give me some rare stuff, and I really push them to not do this like performative, but more like the rare stuff. And then some other times there are other DJs that really come to me like, look, I want to get into DJing and performing, and I'm not really doing well. And I know that MiZa validates or creates this type of resume thing. And I go, okay, so give me the good stuff, but make it relatively the thing that you're going to promote yourself with. So that's how I approach them differently. And in fact, there's two exact situations right here of two DJs. There's a really good DJ here, and he's brought really rare stuff, and then there's another DJ over there, and then he's went to get booked, and then he's booked differently. So they saw it more like a resume stepping stone type of thing, and I agreed with it. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, go for it, show the different colors of you, and then they were booked differently. I was kind of just standing back when it comes to live, and but really nice stories was that eventually over time different people started to come, and then MiZa became kind of like a booking agent. So what would happen is that so a really nice story was that Prada came to Abu Dhabi. Prada did this big fashion show, and they just went on MiZa Radio, and they're like, I like this guy, this guy, this guy, and then they called me up, and I was like, yeah, you can book them, Prada. Sure. They live right here, no problem. Do you want them to be dressed all in black? And they're like, yeah, just bring. And they gave them free range. And there was a DJ that he didn't play for 15 years publicly. He played in MiZa Radio the week before Prada came, and he was selected for Prada. And he was a DJ from Bosnia, and he had, his turntables, and he just moved here, and he just it was pure luck. And so those moments are really cool where you see people doing their thing, not performative, but then all of a sudden people are like, I want him, specifically him. And so I'm like, yeah, I mean, it has nothing to do with me, but go for it, make it happen.
No, it sounds like that with MiZa, you've had this really awesome opportunity that you've really grabbed to sort of pseudo mentor people as well, to kind of help them break out of their shell. And for some that, are just getting started, you're like, hey, here's a little nudge in a direction, which is super important to have in a community in general.
Yeah.
Whoever was working at Prada, you have to give that person a raise, because usually they will not contact the radio, they will contact the DJs directly.
Yeah.
So this is incredible opportunity for the radio to generate some revenue
Absolutely.
by managing, like Rinse does that. They manage their own artist. NTS has that.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, I mean, it's important to give credit, and if they,
Absolutely.
that's really nice.
It
Yeah.
was one of those
Well,
things, the stars aligned.
Well,
That-
well, normally
That's the
also-
thing that artists remember as well, to be honest. Like when you create that opportunity for them through what you do, they remember that. And they will be talking about that throughout their entire career as well. Like that's a really, really important thing to have. I can't state that enough. So actually, I wanted to shift into something, and actually, if you could hold on to the mic, because I want to talk to you first. So I wanted to get into a little bit about the sustainability of it, and not from like a green or eco sense, but when it comes to funding, sponsorships, listener support, what are some ways that you do that, and what are some challenges that come with it?
And me first, yes?
Yes, because we had this conversation earlier.
Yes. So, in particular, in my case, I have a salary to do this, so I'm paid to do it. And
By who?
By MiZa HQ. So MiZa is a real estate company that runs a port, Mina Zayed, and basically this is part of their kind of like social program, and then they scout people in Abu Dhabi that have that multi thing of music and say, we need the radio to go this direction, and we need you to do it, and we need you to make it happen. So financially, I am sustained by a company that is based on real estate. For the DJs, after they perform on the radio, or let's say the YouTube channel, it's not paid. They don't pay the artist for this. But what I try to do is completely book them after and get paid for it. And I try to say, okay, I try to make it more like a network thing. Like once you did this, let me see where you can fit, and then I hike up the price, and I tell them, charge this. And then they're like, I don't know what to charge. Like, just charge it. I know what's going on the other side. So then they bump up their numbers a bit. But it's not necessarily sustainable. It's more like a patron, or is kind of helping a space or a community. I looked into how to get advertising into it. I looked into how to do product placement. It's like, okay, we put DJ, we put this. I mean, the classic ways to put a soda or whatever, you know, the classic ways to put an object. And but it's not that easy.
The very specific silver and blue can
I'm not
that
going to
goes
say
right
any
there.
names because I'm not paid for it. But that I did look at all these ways to say, okay, well, how can we make it sustainable? How can we make it where, you know, it pays for itself? It is difficult for it to be paid for itself, and I'm sure you guys know what that is. It's very difficult to get it to be circular. At least I haven't seen it clean.
It's impossible.
Okay, so he said it, not me.
Yeah, I mean, we started as an independent community radio with $10,000 in 2016. The money finished in like 10 days. We were trying to build a website. The website was costing us $15,000. Could not complete the payment to launch a platform. So we started doing events. Box Out Wednesdays funded the build of Box Out FM. And later on, through those events, we started to learn how to apply for funding, institutional funding. We were awarded the Levi's Music Project in 2018, which allowed us to open a space. I didn't know about this funding thing, like that it existed. Maybe not so much everywhere in the world, but in developing countries, there is opportunity for you to access funds. You just have to know how to go after those funds. We don't do advertisement. We're not funded. We don't charge the DJs. For example, NTS, when they launched, they used to charge each DJ £10 to have a 1 hour show. They use that money to pay for the hosting, the server. it's semi non like it's not sustainable to run an online radio station. You need to be like a really crazy, passionate person, refusing all the advice in the world and say, I can do this. And then the pandemic happens, so then the event stopped, and then we were stuck with this 11-person team. We couldn't really pay for them. And then we applied for a grant from the British Council. They gave us £50,000 to operate the radio. We didn't know this was possible. But because the radio was also a platform for people to express their opinion, to talk, to discuss things, it allowed it to step outside of the nightlife scene and become a cultural entity. And yeah, there are ways to get some funding, but it's not sustainable. You need to have someone who is like
Knows
willing
how
to
do
go
that.
through this, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and using technology
Like,
to
That's a
build.
role. Like, your job is to go out and find the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't discourage me. I just started.
No, we actually, again, just got awarded another grant, which is the She Said So ex Ballantyne's project, where we're going to reopen a new physical space. So 2016, nobody told me that there was money out there. But now there is money everywhere. You just have to have the right pitch and collaborate with the right entity where the values align and you're not censored and you're allowed to have an opinion, because opinion is important today. So yeah, it's definitely for passion and it's not really for profit.
Yeah, if I can chip in on this, because I think this was the hardest part for me, at least to start here in the UAE. When Red Light Radio, which I think was over 10 years, they shut down because of money. Well, it was one of the most established online radio stations in the world. And when I started here, actually, the idea was already 2 years ago. Reached out to many people. Because I know funding or the investment can be huge from the get-go. So even reached out to JS here. That was 2 years ago when Vinyl Souk just started, and I spoke with many parties here in the UAE to see if they can help me build this. I was lucky that Lulu and the Beanstalk, who are very promoting community building. Here in the region, was able to help me, at least to give me the setup and a place to do. And specifically, I asked, this needs to be independent, no direction from your end. Let me run this. I need your space. So that was a start. But obviously, I think for a lot of artists, they need to be comfortable in a container, for example, like MiZa. They are alone. They can play their own sets. They're not in front of audience, which in Lulu's is the case. There are some people sitting there. And they feel more comfortable. So that's the next step for ARABICBYNIGHT Radio, to get that independent area where you can express yourself as a person and as an artist. But I think, funding is my key topic right now, because I just want to build it out. I need to connect with the right people, and being in an event like this will definitely help me to get that to the next step, because I think every city needs an online radio station for the alternative music scene, not only electronic, punk, metal, dancehall, hip hop, and so forth. So I think this is incredibly important, but it needs to be done right, by the right people, and also with the right money, if I may say so.
For us, there was a happy moment when we got a request for a meeting with Aramco. And okay, it sounds funny because you're like, why does a energy company want to meet you about your radio show? But
They have like 3 radio stations.
I know, but most people ask us. But you know, I grew up in Bahrain. I'm from Bahrain, so I knew about the media section. So I was like, wait, Aramco? Why? Anyways, I realized it's the radio station, but then I was still surprised why, because I think one of the biggest challenges is, as much as Box Out FM shows might be exactly what the audience wants in that region, I've noticed in our region, most of our shows or performers are quite niche, and most of the brands are not looking for that. They want something more accessible. They want an influencer. It's most of the time not even about the music. So it's not favorable to what any of us might be trying to do, no matter what the genre, because even rock or indie or electronica has a niche, and most of them don't want to fund something that doesn't have a huge followership, which is the case most of the time with anything alternative or underground. So when Aramco called us, it was really interesting, and they asked me to bring a plan of where this is going. And I already had this, so I was ready, and I was like, okay, I can see you tomorrow. And he goes, no, I want you to prepare. I was like, no, I'm ready. I have everything. It's going to be in 4 or 5 decks, but I'll walk you through it. Because I realized what he wants. I'm from brand and strategy and creative, so I understood exactly where he's going with this. I was just happily shocked that Aramco 2 was willing to support regional people to do shows and have original content. In the meeting, they actually asked me if I would take curation charge and invite more people from the region, even spreading to Asia, who actually produce original shows. And I said, very easy. And I had to show him a plan of how the shows would become community events. It would reach out, it would spread out, it would make sure to push regional artists. Everything was a dream come true. They paid us for 2 years to do everything we were doing, but the only thing that I really had to do, and they kept putting a pause to everything else, was paying us for the radio show that I was doing. And whenever I asked, it didn't go anywhere. And I think the challenge is, and I'm very happy, I want to meet this person from Prada, because most of the time, the other management or someone higher does not want something interesting. They just want somebody who wears fashionable clothes, or somebody, or who's cheapest, who's doing it for free. Literally. I used to get paid a lot for doing fashion events, and the ask was curate music for the brand that you don't play anywhere else. And that was amazing. I used to prepare 3 months for that. But yeah, it is a challenge. I think it's an interesting topic. There are people maybe, like even whoever was in Aramco at that point, they paid us for 2 years for doing our show. And I was like, okay, this is going to go somewhere. I can invest in guest artists. When the community events come, we can even invest there and book people to come and perform. But yeah, there's always a challenge. I think this region still has a long way to go in terms of the development of, what is the financial model that helps any of the shows grow bigger or more.
Cool. So I think we have to wind it down in a second here, but I wanted to ask one last question, and let's jump through it. What is in the future? What do you want, and where is it going?
So I had a really cool time with MiZa, and then I got to experiment on some stuff, and I made a thing called Mundo Records. Okay? It was a really cool little idea, opening a vinyl record shop, a listening space. But the people at MiZa, like the DJs, they were like, okay, dude, why don't you open a radio and we'll follow you? And so this question came, and it said, why should one open a radio? This is a really, like, what is its use? I mean, I know we like it, and we believe in it, but then when people go, but why? And in my case, it was like, because people need to be archived, and people need to be in a place and said, I was part of this culture. I did this music and I was in Abu Dhabi, or I did this and I was in UAE. And then these videos get frozen in time in YouTube. And, it's really nice to see. Now, that's the why. That's nice. Then I have to say, okay, maybe I can sell records. Maybe I can book them. But I always saw it like, it works, but there has to be something that kind of ties to it. It has to print somewhere. And that's the future. So I'm in a place where I'm like, do I do a radio for Mundo Records? Do I do a channel for Mundo Records? And I'm opening it to listening to people. Like when I walk, I'm like, I want to hear their opinion. Yes, I want a radio. No, I think it's, or whatever. I would love to hear what people say about that, and that's the future.
For me, it's why I'm doing this. It's just pure passion. And what I want to achieve is that this is on 2 or 3 levels. So one of them is for the local scene. I want them to to be shared with the world, because there's so much talent here in the UAE. And if I can utilize my network in Amsterdam to show people there, like on video or SoundCloud, like there's so much incredible talent that gets validated from Amsterdam or Europe, which is not my goal, but it helps to grow the local scene. Which basically the next step of that is to have an export product of DJs here, grew up or be here on the ground, who are being exported to other countries, rather than we import all those big DJs. Then the second layer to that is for international DJs. What happens now is that they come into the UAE, get a lot of money, and go away. So we don't have to offer, we cannot offer them yet to be like this music capital where they can dig into a lot of record stores, which is happening now. I'm very happy for that. But we can give them that extra, for example, this radio show. Play on this radio show. So you can add value to the local UAE scene rather than going to this club, play music, and go away. Because we are a center place in the world. So we can utilize that, so not only for the local scene, also for the international scene. And in the end, it will be crossing all genres, so people are connected. Example is that at my latest show, or the latest radio, one of the club owners came to the show, saw a techno DJ playing, and was like, "Who's this DJ?" And that is exactly what I want, and that is my goal.
In the future, we need to have less DJs. Because honestly,
controversial. Yeah.
No, for real, I'll tell you why. Because in a radio station, there's like 15 people running the radio station, and the last person to arrive is the DJ. You have the sound engineer, the video operator, the scheduler, the uploader, the graphic designer, the license, which we did not even talk about, the legality of running an online community radio or any type of radio is semi-impossible unless you have the right thinkers on board to think about the challenges that we as radio curators have to deal with. So in the future, less DJs, open it up for other people to be part of the situation. A lot of people with legal knowledge, because you are dealing with other people's content and you're illegally distributing it. I don't know if everyone here knows how to get a license, which kind of license, which platform to upload, when are you breaking the law, when are you not, what is copyright. So in 2016, I didn't know any of this stuff.
Proper radio stations pay a lot
now,
in royalties.
Yeah. So to think about, like, I wanted to have a mix radio show, but then I haven't even done a radio show in 3 years. I'm like an accounts guy now. I do like legal, finance. I stopped DJing because of all the other roles that I had. So definitely less DJs, more operators, more people who are interested to understand how radio works, how media works, and how you can benefit from it and work together with other mediums.
I would
And catch me DJ later. So
catch me outside.
It's rare.
I would add to that I think you have to elaborate there, because if it's defined being a DJ, right? I think if people who are really doing it because they have something in the back of their head, they have a vision and a passion, and they're making this collection, and they're making this character and identity. These are the same people actually who end up with a record label or a radio show or a station or building their own bar or club or even a record store. So I actually encourage that. What I would really, and I'm sorry if it sounds harsh, what I'd really like people to stop doing is jumping on the bandwagon just because it looks cool. I've had so many people ask me to teach them, and they actually didn't want to learn anything. They just wanted to know how to hit the sync button and how to look cool and basic controls of the volume, and that's not it. And I think if you really get into this for the right reason, you might become the engineer or the person who's really keen on royalties. Because honestly, this whole industry is made of people who did it for the love of music. I happily work with a pressing plant now, who's also my distributor, and I've been to that factory a few times, and everybody in that pressing plant has some history with music and a passion for doing it. And that's why now they have a YouTube stream, and they're opening a store in the pressing plant. There's so much little detail, and all these ideas came from every one of those people. You know, and some of them are band members or DJs or whatever. So I think we need to define that, you know, because I'm very happy with the new generation. This is the post Gen Zs. Gen Zs very disappointed by you. The ones after them, they're actually buying hardware. They're buying records. I met this kid from Saudi. He's barely 15, and he's playing records. He's a vinyl-only DJ, and he's killing it. Sadly, he can't play most places in the Middle East, but this is what we need more of.
With no bars in Saudi. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I'd like to thank you all for turning up and listening to us rant about stuff that we love, and we do love it. Thank you for your time, and if I could, please get a round of applause for our speakers today. Oh, is there a question? All right, let me
Questions for
No
the
questions?
panelists? There's a lot of knowledge out there. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazon product review.
1 star.
Okay. Remon, I heard you saying something about highlighting about the talents that we have here in the region, blah blah, all of these things, especially us being in the Emirates, or more specifically in Dubai. Like that? Okay. So us being in Dubai, in the Emirates, it's more of a hub these days. So how do you not fall into that routine of highlighting the people that play the same kind of music? Because if someone actually values music, you can tell by how they play like their selection and everything. But all things come to one thing leads to another, and then you have 5 guys that play in 5 different Saturdays that have the same sound, same selection, same creation. So that's something. That's because like Salah knows me, Tarik knows me. I've been around music since day one that I came to Dubai. But I don't even dare to call myself a DJ, even though I have 400 records. But I know what's being a DJ these days. I mean, my grandma can hit the sync button and press play, you know, and she did that actually once.
Well, I think you hit 2 topics. So curation is one. So I deliberately started with monthly shows only, just to give myself the time to really curate and share the vision of what I would like to have on this radio. So that's one. I really look on every lineup I make or DJs I ask for now, because at some point it will be a turning point where, like they will come to you and ask, can I play? But for me now, I have to ask people because it just started. I've already acknowledged the fact that we hear a lot of the same sounds. There's a lot of copy paste here in the region. So I try to filter that out. And obviously I don't know anyone, or not everyone here in the scene. So I take my time for only monthly shows before I start the weekly shows, because I want to give the right people a platform. I need to know them personally. And the people who now came to the radio shows already shows their interest in, like, okay, this is maybe something I want to be part of. So I think that is one. What was your second part of the question?
No, it was mainly 2 questions maybe, but for me it was more of a statement and a question. So not falling in the repetition of bringing people that have the same sound, because eventually, if it's people like us sitting here, we all know each other and we kind of have the same, flavor or taste in music.
Yeah, and that is what I want to already said before when I started the radio, or at least when it opened up for me with metal and punk. That was a complete new genre for me. So I'm trying to dig in every community to give them the space, and I'm also asking people around, like, can you refer some good DJs with a lot of knowledge, and not only DJs, also artists who has a lot of knowledge and a music library. So I really take my time to curate and not fall in the trap of the same type of electronic music. And hopefully you can see that in a year or 2 years time that, okay, this is a very diverse program focusing on the niche part of it.
Actually, I'd like to kind of jump in there as well. I think that the sounds in the UAE and the region, that yes, a lot of like house and techno gets highlighted, but I think it's not an accurate thing to say that we all kind of sound the same.
Absolutely not.
Just sat up here, we have so many different flavors of like what we do, like drastically different, and it's amazing. And there's loads of it around.
Also, I want to apologize about the DJ comment earlier. DJing is like a career right now. A lot of people are not privileged to have a radio show, but they have a DJ career. So these 5 guys we're all referring to, they work really hard. It doesn't matter if we do not align with them. They have values because they're showing up to work every day. So how do we all change? We have to change within. Instead of only going to your friends' events, go to another city, attend a music genre you're not familiar with. Go to a record store, buy a kind of record you're not interested in. Meet new people. Like, this doesn't just happen by, I mean, we all came to Abu Dhabi. I took a flight from India to get here and to share and speak and understand what radio means to people. And radio is not to stay stagnant. Actually, radio is where you can really push the boundaries. No one is watching you. No, you're not at a club where your selection is affecting the bar sales.
You don't have to hold the floor.
So being a DJ, it has gone through so many phases, you know. Even as a DJ, I removed DJ from my name because I don't want to be boxed in as a DJ, because what is DJ right now? It's a job. Someone has to do a job. We are here in a very privileged environment curating radio shows. So I don't know, like, it's difficult right now to comment about DJing and DJ culture in this context. So I would just leave it here.
Spot on.
I just want to add to that as well. Going back to the 5 guys playing 5 venues with 5 whatever. I mean, look, you said you have 400 records. Those 400 records, any one of us, I'm sorry, I don't know if you DJ or not, but even if he was to go through those records, none of us would play those records the same way. So that's part of the art. Secondly, I'm with Mo that those 5 guys that you were referring to, they're not at fault. They're working, they're doing their thing. Same as wedding DJs, birthday DJs. That I started doing that because when I was 14, I didn't care. I just wanted to play. It was good money too. I showed up. But the fault there is not the DJs. It's the booker. These venues that are booking the same 5 guys.
And writing the music policy.
And writing the music policy and not even trying to find somebody new or somebody interesting. Because it's not about budget. There's poor people out there who are like, man, just give me a chance, I'll do it for free. I don't believe in free because every venue makes money. But there are people, they just are lazy. They're just trying to follow a trend and not even bother. So I wouldn't blame those DJs at all.
One of the things is also like the places that you like usually have a good open-minded manager that probably said, okay, I think I'm going to take a risk with this DJ. The places that you don't like usually is just a person saying, put whatever DJ, I want it to go easy, I don't want a headache in my place. So there's an element of getting the people that work, that select, to have a little bit of risk and culture and open-mindedness. And those are usually the places that a lot of us like to end up going because they're like, oh, okay, these are places that accept us. But those bad clubs, that's what it is. It's like we want only the popular burger, whatever. We want it very easy.
No, I mean, like, personally, it's a little bit of a red flag when the F&B manager has written the music policy.
Exactly.
And it's another red flag when they've designed the booth as well. Like,
exactly.
They're always the worst.
So, like, they're dealing with waiters, and then they're like, let me book the DJ. Like, wait a minute, this is a whole different thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that makes a big difference. If the place or the location has a dedicated marketing, art person, culture person that kind of has a good criteria. If not, it's kind of just open to who's his bestie, the wasta, the cool guy that's like that can play, and that's the issue. That same 5 guys, it's like, okay, it's because they know that works, and they're gonna keep on doing that cycle. So it is like you said, the booker, the manager, the person. That has to do a lot with it.
Absolutely. And I think Mo really touched on something important as well. Like, you have to show up for these things. If you want to see more of the things that you like, you need to show up. You need to go out. You need to buy the record. You need to go to the venue where your friends aren't hanging out but might have something interesting. Because how many other people might avoid that place for the same reason? You know? I mean, it's not for the quality of the music.
Awesome.
Any more questions?
Check. Hello, my name is Nick. It's mostly not a question, it's just a word of, I would say, a gratitude, because I know you guys personally, most of you. I mean, I discovered today about the Box Out FM from you, Mohammed, so it's not something that I was familiar, but I know Remon with Arabic by Night, whom I also got to know a couple of weeks ago. I know Salah, who runs a very nice electronic music label, takeover, and of course Amin, who runs a great MiZa Radio, which actually kickstarted my, I would say, DJ career back in 2022. Yeah, I cannot say this. But it kickstarted my DJ career back when Karam was running it, and then you took over from Karam in 2024, if I'm not mistaken. And I think we had a great run. And it's just a thing I want to say, that it's a job. Well, it's not really a job, but it requires a lot of time, a lot of passion, and it doesn't really pay well. So huge respect. Thank you very much, and thank you for the panel.
Cool. I think we got time for one more.
Yeah. Any more? Mazin.
Are there any more performers of any kind here? Collectors?
I want to ask
Jayesh.
more question, or anyone here a question, more because he's been running it for a longest time. And did you have ever like a FM radio station reached out to you saying, hey, give us some of your syndicate some of your content to us, or you have a hour slot? Like, is there any possibility or potential of doing that?
Yes, we did that with the Swiss Jazz Hour, which is a Swiss Arts Council funded radio show that we produced, and it got syndicated all over Switzerland on radio, and then later on it made it to some other international stations. It was a research radio, 12 episodes, a deep dive into Swiss jazz presented by Swiss presenters in English. So yeah, that was syndicated to other stations. It was paid for by the Swiss government. In India, it didn't happen as much because radio is very commercial. We usually get legal notices there. But internationally, we've definitely outsourced some of the... And now we are programming on Rinse FM, Worldwide FM, through our network.
That's amazing.
The syndication thing is an interesting aspect as well, because previously, you know, if your show did have something great, especially in Europe and North America, there was a lot of people willing to, or radio stations willing to pay you for your show, as long as it was produced at a very high level. Funny enough, now I get emails saying, if you pay us, we'll syndicate your show.
Yeah, we don't pay to play. All right. Well, once again, could I get a round of applause for the gentleman up here?
Get it, come, Jay.
Come. Get it.
One more.